Welcome, everyone. My name is Caroline Colas, and I am the Senior Director of Health and Wellness at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. Today, on our online Positive Psychology Hour, a series that we do in conjunction and partnership with the Whole Being Institute, we're going to be talking about the play is the thing, using play to improve your mental health with Nick Gissal. Today, we'd like you to join us to explore how play puts Barbara Fredrickson's broaden and build theory into action by generating positive emotions and upward spirals, increasing our well-being. These emotions help us undo the effects of negative experiences and learn new skills. It teaches us to cultivate positive relationships and build self-efficacy and resilience. Nick Gissal is a teacher of teachers and Whole Being Institute alumnus. He will show us how play can be a powerful tool for supporting mindfulness, mental health, and resilience. By playing together, we learn together, we innovate together, we persevere together, and we relate. In short, we flourish. A little bit about Nick. He's a faculty development trainer at Full Sail University, where he helps the faculty become more effective teachers. He holds a bachelor's degree in English language arts education from the University of Central Florida and a certificate in applied positive psychology from Whole Being Institute. He is currently pursuing a master's degree in instructional design and technology from Full Sail University, and he's focused on trauma-informed instruction, culturally inclusive curriculum practices, and engaging community through movement and creative expression, which he does as a certified yoga teacher and as a Let Your Yoga Dance instructor as well. He lives in Central Florida with his husband and his cat, Riley. Welcome to the call, Nick. Nick, go ahead and unmute and say hi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Caroline. It's so incredible to see you all and to meet you all. I'm so happy that you all are here today. I wanted to start out. I graduated from the certificate in Whole Being Psychology program back in 2019. So a couple years ago at this point. I know it's that moment was sort of a moment of transition for me. I know Megan likes to talk about all of the different ways that people sort of enter into the SIP program. Mine was I was in a space where I had just quit teaching. I just left teaching high school students and was in a new space in my life. And I was looking through the Kripalu catalog and came across this description for this program that just sounded so incredible and so aligned with my ideas of like what it means to be a teacher, what it means to be a human in the world. And I knew that this had to be like my next step. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew it was the place that I needed to go.
Awesome. And I just put a little link in the chat. If anybody is interested in the SIP program, they're accepting for their fall cohort. I can't believe we're thinking about fall already, but we are. Oh my goodness. Now, Nick, you're going to talk to us about play. Yes. Can I just ask you really quickly, why play? What does play mean to you?
It's play, play is it's the ability to just interact with the people and the environment. It's the way that we relate. It's the way that we sort of connect with each other in the most meaningful way, right? I don't know. I think it's the way that we sort of express ourselves. It's the way that we build connections with each other. Dr. Sarah Aljo talks about positivity resonance, and like by playing, by talking to each other, by interacting, that's where we build that connection, and just allows us to do amazing, incredible things.
Yeah, I also understand it's how in the animal kingdom, the animals and species actually learn how to relate to one another for survival. And there are I don't know if you've seen it, but there's all these wonderful pictures that I've seen where there have been even animals that would normally be predators suddenly engaged in playful activity. So it's a survival skill. It's one of those things that it reminds me of hope, hope being the only positive emotion where fear needs to be present, where there's a negative emotion present. Play has that duality to it too. It teaches us survival, and it also teaches us how to be joyful. So I'm so excited for your presentation. Shall we get started?
I'd love to. I'd love to. Let's gather for a moment. So I invite you to create a stable seat wherever you are. I know we're kind of coming in and out from all sorts of places all over the country, maybe even all over the world. But let's land right here. And notice where you're connected to the earth or to your chair. I invite you to close your eyes or let them rest softly in front of you. Grow tall through your spine, building your vertebra, maybe broadening your shoulders. And notice your breath. There's nothing to fix. And as you inhale, get curious about your breath. What does it feel like to be in this body today? And on your next exhale, squeeze your belly button toward your spine to empty all the way out. And take a new fresh breath in. That clearing out that creates new space for possibility, new space for opportunity. And we're gathered together here to learn from each other. Yeah. When you're ready, come on back into the space. And we'll kind of greet each other. I'd like to remove the spotlight just for a moment and switch over to gallery. If you all are on a laptop, switch into gallery for a moment. And Zoom has all these really great tools that are in it. So you can either turn on the camera to wave at the screen. I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, and this is an interactive portion. So we're going to do some pro-social strategies, right? So we're going to try to connect with each other, even though we're far away through space here. Or if you do not want to turn your camera on, I know it's not the best situation for everybody. You can also use all sorts of features like the emojis, right? You can do a heart or a clap or raise your hand as we go through this process. So I want to know first, lean in and give a little wave if this is your first time joining us for a JCC session. Go ahead and wave in. Yeah, if this is your first time. Okay. And go ahead and lean in if this is if you've been coming to some of these sessions for a while now, like this is now part of your regular routine. Yep. So leaning in and waving and smiling at the camera. Nice. I love it. All right. Wave your hands if you've been outside today, if you've had a chance to go outside today. Yeah, perfect. I love it. I love the comments coming in. This is great. Kind of lean in if you have an animal that's in your house. Do you have an animal that lives in your house? How many stay waving if like your animal is a dog? Stay waving if your animal is a dog. How about a cat? I have a cat. Yeah. How about something like a bird, right? Or a fish? Do I have any fish? Yeah. Another animal that I haven't named, no-legged, multi-legged, right? Whatever it is. Yeah, I love it. Lean in if you felt lonely this year. This year's been a little lonely at some point. Yeah. And lean in if you're feeling hopeful about what's to come, like you're looking forward to something happening in June or July or later on this year. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah, so these types of pro-social sort of interactive qualities, that's how we actually connect with each other. We just spent a little bit of time moving and connecting and getting to know a little bit more about each other. That's what play is, right? That's all about what this is that we can do when when we're in concert, when we're working together as we share this knowledge. So
Nick, before we go on, I think you might want to turn off the microphone actually, because there's a little bit of a zapping sound occasionally.
Yep.
Anybody else hearing that? Yeah.
Excuse me. Happy to. I'll go to.
Yeah, I just think sometimes that happens.
Better?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Okie dokie. All right, yeah. So as Carolyn introduced, so my name is Nick Gissal, and this is Play is the Thing, using play to improve your mental health. And so I've got lots of different information that's here. I will send you a copy of these slides so that you can have this information and connect with me using my website if you'd like. The website's at the very beginning of stages of its life right now, but more to come. And speaking of animals and how we build things. Truly, we were all born playing, right? We were all born to play. Play is the main way that all animals learn from each other and learn how to survive in their settings. And just like us, right? So play is so vital to testing our hypotheses, right? We learn, like, what is it like when I go in this direction? What is it like when I do this? And play also is a powerful tool for learning, because it's also how we learn some boundaries. Does anybody in here have siblings that they grew up with, or friends where you sometimes just didn't get along too well? Yeah, exactly. So knowing like where that line is that you draw to see, like, well, this is how far I can go. This is how far I can push that idea before things get a little spicy. Also when we're learning, right? We are rehearsing information and recalling, bringing it back. And that process of playing, that process of reaching into our short-term memory, right? Remembering this concept, pulling it back into working memory, and going back and forth over and over again. That helps us with gathering the information and internalizing it, so that it becomes part of our long-term memory. We really know what's happening. Animals in the out in the world are, if they experience a difficulty in a certain patch of grass or a certain area, they'll remember that issue that happens when they return back to that. It's a way that they connect to what they know. But also, play is one of these ways where we create novel connections. It creates enough of a space, enough of a gap, where all of a sudden, or there will be new connections that we can make, and that actually helps us with expanding our knowledge, with expanding the way that we look at the world and what we do. We can also use play to relate. So when we play together, we have a common focus. It sort of recenters ourselves to think about, to be focused on the same idea. It gives us that thing in common, so we start relating more to each other. The educator, Emily Stiles, writes about windows and mirrors. And for that concept, like a window is, when we play together, we get a view into what somebody else's life is like, what their world is, what their experience is. But also, we get to see other people's lives reflected towards us, and maybe we might see a part of ourselves within their experience. So it's an important tool to see this is what other people live through or live with, or what their experience is like as they move through the world. But also, it's an important way for us to see ourselves. And in order for us to have a strong understanding of who we are as humans, who we are as people, we need to first dive in deeply to see, to see a little bit more, like what is it that that we are, that we see in ourselves, that we see what's going on. Let me see. I have a question that's in the chat. Gotcha. That's a great question. So no silly questions here. So the question is, am I the only person who does not understand? Are you talking about adults or children at play? That's a great distinction. I'm talking about both, right? So as children, we do this a lot, right? We start to interact, we play with each other when we're really, really young. But as we age, as we grow older, this tendency to play sort of drops off for us. There was a recent book that came out, Humor Seriously, and the writers of the book reference a research study that was done, where it shows that humor, like our laughter, how much we laugh and we play during our day, has a significant drop off when we after the age of 23. And the supposition is that's about the same time that we enter into the workforce. And that's when our world becomes maybe a little bit more serious, right? We start trying to fit into our environment. We start trying to sort of like meet the needs of our employers, or trying to kind of fit into what's going on. So we sort of remove ourselves from this ability to play as we age. But I would argue that this ability to play, right, that our connective quality is what really drives us toward innovation, what helps us connecting with each other in ways that are truly meaningful, that can really be transformative for our lives. Yeah, I hope that answered the question. That's a really great distinction. I know, because like this slide here, I've got a bunch of children on this slide, so like naturally this is the way we do it. But it also, like child psychologists, educators have all talked about the importance of play and as a way for us to develop and learn when we're young. And I think the trick is, how do we continue to dive into that as we age, as we grow older? So, and some of those things, when we play with each other, when we start bonding and connecting, even the little game that we played at the beginning where we were waving at the camera, that all starts to increase the oxytocin levels in our blood system. So oxytocin is a endorphin, and what it does is it actually helps us with bonding and relating to each other. So there's actually like a neurochemical uptick that happens when we start playing. And a part of play is also a reduction of the stress response. When we're playing with each other, we move out of that space of fear, of fight or flight, and we return back into a more open way of looking at things, right? We're not sort of looking for the predators around us. We're not looking for the things that are going to harm us. We shift into the space of possibility, right? How can we, or where we can see that there are more options available to us and more things that we can try and interact with than maybe would have been available to us at first sight. So besides playing, besides learning, or besides relating and learning, play is also vital for us for persevering. So when we're young, right, when we're children, as we're playing with things, we're learning a little bit how to fail, right, and how to bounce back and come back from failure. So the ability to practice and then revise what we do, those small little gains that we make when we're children, help us in those times later on in life. It helps us adapt to difficulties that we're experiencing. We know that we can face setbacks and bounce forward from them. We know that we can adapt to the difficulties that are surrounding us at the time. And even it helps us seeing new options, right? Sometimes when we're in a destructive ruminative cycle, when we're sort of like in a dark place and we're fixating on our ideas, right? We tend to narrow our vision. We tend to narrow our thought patterns toward things that are destructive. And when we introduce play, what happens is we offer a little bit more space. We offer a little new idea, a pause. And that space is enough for us to open up a little bit more, to open out a little bit more, and actually see new possibilities that might happen around us. So it's a way for us to see, like, well, what else is there? What else can we do? What else is possible in this space? And play, it also helps us when we're relating to each other, when we're working with other people. It also helps us increase our sense of self-efficacy. There's a study that was done in 2016 that was all about synchronized movement and how that actually helps, or what effect that has on people's sense of self-image and self-efficacy. And essentially what the study did is they had a group of participants watching or going along with a workout video, and either they would be doing the movements in sync with the workout video, or it would be slightly off, right, where they weren't quite syncing up together. And the results of that, they found that those people who actually were working in sync moving at the same time with the workout video, had a stronger sense of self-image and self-efficacy. They believed that they could do it more. And the thought is, when we play together, when we do things together, we see ourselves reflected in the other person that's over there. And, it causes us to think, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And we are going to be doing this together. So hence, if you've participated in any of the other offerings of the JCC, maybe you've gone to one of the workout classes or you've participated in a Let Your Yoga Dance class, all of that time when we are mirroring each other, when we're looking at each other and following along or copying the moves, that's also building up our sense of self, our sense of saying, yes, like I can, and I will, and I should. And so here we are, right? So here, this is Barbara Fredrickson's work on broaden and build, right? When we are exposed to positive emotions, when we're exposed to positive situations, we actually have this expansive quality. We're moving up and out, creating a much bigger opportunity for us to see things. And so, you know, it might start out with seeing a stressful situation, but when we start to build in little practices, little drops in the bucket, right, on how we can actually improve our lives, how we expand, it offers us a way for us to decenter ourselves from the experience. So we're actually reducing the negative emotions. We're reducing the negative, or we're reducing the effects of the negative emotions on us, and finding new opportunities to build and to grow from that place. So I know, you know, it's fun to talk about play, but I think it's more important to actually play. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm going to peek at, excuse me, I'm going to peek at a question that just popped into the chat here for a second. The question goes, it sounds like your definition of play is much larger than I first imagined. Can it include things like singing in a group, dancing, watching a show? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So Annie, my Nick Gissal human being, you know, working definition of play is it's the ability for us to connect and relate with each other, right? It's any time that we are, or any time that we are sort of out of our heads and back into like what would feel good, what would feel pleasurable, what would be silly, what would be strange, what would be absurd in this moment for us to do. So it's much more than just like playing on a playground. Go for it, Caroline.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat that was sent to me directly regarding, you know, this sounds very good, but when I was working, I wasn't playing. And yet I think what you're saying actually, Nick, and I think it's one of the things that Barbara Fredrickson discovered, is that when you understand how being playful works and you incorporate it into a work setting, you're actually increasing your productivity, you're increasing your ability to problem solve, you're increasing your just your access to your own brain and to others. So can you talk a little bit about that? Am I onto something? And is that what you mean? So we're not just talking about playing for play's sake exclusively, right?
Exactly, right, exactly. Yeah, and it's maybe something to clarify there is, or something to dig into there too is, you know, when part of our choice for work, or part of our choice for what we do, is also stems from, I guess, I don't know, part of our motivations go along with, you know, is the process aligned with our vision of the world? Is it aligned with our goals for something that's bigger, something that's wider? Is our career something that's self-concordant, something that we are also like driving towards in the world, something that feels like a personal mission, you know, or is it a job, right? Is maybe part of this. And sometimes your job is your job, and that's absolutely fine. That's totally okay. And though, if there's a way to shift from it being a job to driving yourself toward a vocation, something that feels much more spiritual, something that feels deeper and personal, and feels that you are contributing to something purposeful in the world, that's where we can make one of those shifts occur.
Yeah, and Nick, I want to press you a little bit more, if I could. So what I'm thinking about is like the question that social activists have said, you know, I can't be playful. I'm doing something really serious and really dire. And yet, even in those situations, if we find, I'm going to use the word humor, or if we find we're savoring moments of when we're connecting and being almost playful with singing songs, those moments help sustain us. Can you talk about that a little bit? And Someone asked, are there different values, reading screen connection, playfulness versus, in-person playfulness? And what does one do if you have no one to play with?
Right.
You're alone,
Okay.
or you can't get on Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to start with the first question was related to like restorative quality, especially in situations of like social justice work, right? Was kind of the idea, right? Because the world is a serious place, and the play isn't there to dismiss the reality. But the play is there to offer a different reality, right? Or offer alternatives. So you may have heard, I would also consider in play, there's a process or something called gallows humor. I don't know if you're familiar with that, sort of like a dark version of humor. And I know as an educator, I also like played into that a little bit when I was with my teaching group. Sometimes you need to separate yourself enough to be able to process what's going on and then choose a new reaction for how you're going back to the work. And that's what humor, that's what play does, is when you can turn the world on its ear a little bit, you step away from the reality of the moment just enough for you to see what else is possible. How else can I choose to react? How can I choose to respond in this moment? And especially when you're being confronted by people who have like totally different ideologies, who it feels like you cannot reason with them. There's no way to connect that way. You want to be on your A game when you're coming back into that space. You want to be able to choose your reaction, and things like play, or the ability to make that break, to take that separation and choose how you re-enter the space. That's what's going to make a transformative process or transformative change that's there. Because then you're bringing your full self in the way that you want to come into that space.
Yeah, beautifully stated. Thank you. Yeah. And it's also what you're talking about is survival too, right? Sometimes being able to be playful. I think Trevor Noah talks about a time when he noticed his grandfather, interact with a policeman on a horse and tell him a joke, and it diffused the whole situation. He approached it with play. Right.
Right. Yep. It breaks the reality enough for everybody to see what else is possible, to see what else is there. And I'm trying to think of a good segue.
We had a comment in the chat that said, working actively in restorative justice still requires joyfulness.
Yeah, exactly.
Well
yes.
said, Deirdre.
Thank you, Deirdre. Yep. Yeah, and exactly, because also, we don't want to be crushed by the work, right? We don't want to be so deflated and flattened and like make our way to the end of this day or the end of this life, just being totally spent or totally like squeezed out, like you would like squeeze a lemon and like have everything be gone, right? We want to still be able to be our full, bright and vibrant selves. And that's going to require us to also find new ways of looking at the world, find new ways of being there, and especially in a situation like social justice work, right? The creativity that you bring with a sense of playfulness or making connections or connecting different ideas or people together, that's also going to just build that community. It's going to build your process stronger, right? It's going to help you become a better place, right? So like, let me give you a thought here. It's like, so in reality, right? People are not able to play all the same way, right? We think of genders, we think of races, ethnicities, we think of nationalities, we think of ages, right? If I look at a bunch of like old white men like in a business office, they may not feel the same sense of play, or they may not be able to enter into that space of play in the same way that other people can. And maybe a good question to reflect on there would be, who are people who don't have the ability to play, who are in your community? How can you build a space? How can you create a transformative space that allows people to be themselves, to be their full selves in a way that allows them to flourish, right?
And I think about what you're talking about in relationship to safety, right? And Barbara
Mhm.
Fredrickson, when she was here, she talked about positive emotions. In order for them to really be experienced, we do need a certain amount of safety. And I know you've done work in trauma, Nick, and also this idea, I don't want to walk away from in the chat about what if I'm alone, right? What
Mhm.
if I have no one to play with, to address that too. I know in NEO, we talk about everything being an elemental, even the inanimate objects in your life. And so you can be playful or everything having energy. Do you relate to that at all? And are you playful when you're alone?
I think I'm maybe most, well, I take it back. I'm most playful when I'm with other people. I'm a people person. I get jazzed by being with people. Um, and though, the ability to be alone, to sort of be in your own space is also so powerful. There's a session that's coming up on Thursday with Margarita Tarragona, and she's going to talk about the process of writing, right? And for me, writing, creative writing, reflective writing is also a form of play. It's a way for you to add some creativity to your experience and to be able to express it into the world in a new way, right? And so even in that space, when was the last time that you were like walking on the sidewalk and you decided not to step on the cracks? Or you saw some sidewalk chalk and you decided to play the hopscotch game that somebody had just drawn on the floor, right? Like that's also that form of play, being able to dance and move around our physical environment. Or even if there was a time when you went on a walk in your neighborhood and you noticed the bird sound, or you really saw the reflection of the water, or in your house, have you ever just like started looking at an object in your house and remembering all of these things that come back when you think of that object, or seeing like the curve of the handle of the mug, or seeing the color of the painting and like what's there and just been drawn into it, seeing like, oh, that's a really beautiful thing. That's one of these ways that we can really see what's beautiful around us, and dig into that.
Let's ask in the chat, what are the things that you do that are very playful? And I think what we're doing here, Nick, and thank you so much, is expanding our understanding of what is playful. When you talked about writing as being playful, I think of singing in the shower. I think of even some people putting on music and cooking. So I'd really be curious, our community, our Zoom unity is so amazing. What are the ways that maybe you don't think of them as play, but what are the ways that you actually play and we can inspire one another? And, someone asked me last night, when's the last time that you actually sang to someone? And I said, oh my goodness, I sang to my father the other day. So is that what you're talking a little bit about, Nick?
Yes, and actually, that is a great activity to build some connections too. We're learning from each other as well. So yeah, go ahead and in the chat, what's a way that you like to play? And even if you don't think of it as play, like what's something that you're curious about, or how do you move in the world? What are the things that bring you joy? What are those exciting things? Yeah, and I'm going to read out a couple things that are in here. So interacting with my cat, using humor and song to promote community connections, laughter, reading humor books aloud with my family, reading any books aloud with your family, right? I'm sure it's not like humor books are lovely too, but yeah, it could be anything. Taking care of my plants and gardening, painting, printmaking, drawing, dancing, and TikTok. You'll have to teach me TikTok. I do not know how to do that. So please help someday. Yeah, I need to play with that a little bit more. Scrabble, bananagrams with the kids, walking outside with friends. Skipping is totally play, right? Zentangles, improv, joking on the phone with my girlfriend. Taking art classes. Look, there are so many beautiful, beautiful ideas that are popping into the chat here. And all of these are ways that you would interact and interact with the world and find new ways of looking at things, right? Of opening up. Yeah, I love it. So I think it would be good to try playing some games, right? Or try playing some things. That's what I would like to do with you all. So here's what I'd like you to do. We're going to start out with a game called emotional walking. And so this is an improv game. And if you're on camera, great. If you're not on camera, great. That's okay too. So wherever you are, in your chair, standing, whatever would feel most comfortable, whatever would feel most expansive for you, I'd like you to move through the world, or pretend as if you are, let's move or walk as if you're on a tightrope, right? So I'm going to give a suggestion, and I'd like you all, either in your chairs or in your space, to sort of pretend now that you're moving through the world as if you're balancing on a balancing beam or on a tightrope, right? So maybe you're taking little trepidatious steps. You know, are your steps confident right now, or are they a little nervous? And if you're sitting, you know, are you rock solid, or are you wiggling a little bit side to side? And maybe, like, where are your shoulders? Are your shoulders way up, or are they way down? Are you trying to stay cool as a cucumber and flowing, or really strong? Yeah, I love it. All right, new game. All right, so walk as if you're on the catwalk, right? Walk as if you're on a runway, right? Where you're moving through, and you're like showing off your fancy new shirt or blouse or skirt or whatever it is, your suit, right? How are you moving in your space? Are you striking a pose at the end of the runway? Are you showing off the jewelry that you're wearing? Or you know, how are you holding yourself as you move through this space? All right, here's another one. I want you to move as if you are you're exploring, right? Move as if you're exploring. So, okay, I'm gonna see, like, what's going on over here, and like what's happening on that side. What are your eyes doing? Are your eyes really intent? Are you leaning in, leaning forward? Are you leaning back? Right? Are you exploring all those deep areas that are around? All right, here's another fun one. Move as if you're moving through honey. Imagine that you are wading through hip deep honey, and you are trying to make your way across the floor, across the room. Or if you're sitting, imagine that you're trying to move your arms out of the honey that's all around you, right? And maybe you need to shake it off a little bit because it's a little sticky, right? All right, and when you're ready, come on back into your space and just move normal for a moment. What would feel good? Maybe a little side to side lateral flexion, or a little forward and back cat cow might feel good. Just kind of get back into your space. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. So these ways of seeing, of playing, of moving your body, right? When we move our bodies, we're actually like increasing our heart rate, we're increasing circulation. All that has a positive quality on our sense of self, right? It helps our mental wellness, our mental health improve. Yeah. Okay. Let's try another game. I am going to offer. I'm going to ask for a category. I'm going to say a category of things. I'd love you all to type into the chat something that fits into that category. So if I say, you know, what's your favorite type, or what's a type of cereal, right? Go ahead and type in some ideas. It's a way of stretching or expanding. Yeah, oatmeal, love it. Chex, muesli, love it. Yeah, crunch berries. Ooh, yeah. Reese's Puffs, oatmeal, grape nuts. Yes, all these great ideas. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay. Here's another one. You know, here's another thought. What are your favorite, or what's a song? What's a song that you're loving these days? What's a song that you're loving these days? Yeah, I love it. Okay, Happy. Yep. Wuthering Heights, Imagine, Pirates of the Caribbean, Strange Fruit. Everybody say hello. Zippity Doodah, Sounds of Silence, Hallelujah. Yeah, all of these great things that are coming in, that are playing in here. How about this? What is, where is a place near you that you could play? Where's a place near you that you could play? I'm gonna say in my house. I've been dancing in my house all year. Yeah, I love it. Yep, the beach, the park, the building patio, in the woods in Pennsylvania. in your yard. Yeah, great. And here's maybe another thought. What's a strength of yours? What is a strength of yours? Yeah, and I see some ideas popping in here now. What is a strength of yours? Humor, curiosity, love of learning, resourcefulness, patience, communication, kindness, honesty, resilience. Love all these ideas, right? So here's maybe a question is, you are listing these strengths that you have. How could you use that strength to be playful? How could you lead with playfulness into that strength? So I'll give you an example. So one of my strengths from the VIA character strengths is appreciation of beauty and excellence, right? And so some of the ways that I like to play when I'm thinking about this or when I'm working with this is to look at pictures, right? If when I'm in the world, I love to go to museums. And so I know there's lots of museums have been giving virtual tours this year, and I can go in and I can kind of see their catalog and lean in or like zoom in really close now instead of having to like lean as close as I can past that barrier. And also though, like more of a game when I'm thinking of appreciation of beauty and excellence, I've learned that I really enjoy puzzles. I really enjoy putting puzzles together because it's so much attention to detail and trying to figure out, well, where are the colors matching up, where are all those little bits that are adding in. What if your strength is something like kindness? Well, maybe the way that you play is that the things that you are creating end up being like a gift that you would give to somebody, right? So maybe your way of playing is, oh, I'm going to make this scarf for a friend, and so the thing that I'm doing, the thing that feels so expansive, is going to be a gift that I give out to somebody else. Or maybe it's offering a smile to the person at the grocery store that you see, or the checkout person. It's a way that you can play with kindness, that you can add that into your repertoire. There's one of my lowest strengths from that VIA character list is self-regulation. I don't know if anybody else is like that, where like you have a hard time saying no to things. Believe it or not, they actually have a video game out there that's called Say No More. And it's all about saying no to people. And all you can do as you move through like this office environment is just like say no to people. And like, I know it's silly, right? But for me, I have a hard time saying no to people. And this is one of those ways that I can practice doing this in a way that's safe, right? Like I'm not actually hurting anybody's feelings. These are all avatars, these are all characters. But it reminds me that if I want to work towards something that I find purposeful, that I find meaningful, I'm going to need to say no to some people along the way. I'm going to need to stop some of those other things from happening. Yeah. I would love to try a game with breakout rooms. Would love to try a game with breakout rooms. And we're going to play it together though first. So this is an improv game. It's called Yes, Let's. Right? And I'm going to offer something as an action, and you all are going to respond through the interwebs. You're going to say, oh, yes, let's do this. And then we're all going to do that action together, right? So I'll give you an example. My example is, let's go fishing. And you all are going to say, yes, let's, right? So let's try it. Let's go fishing. Yes, let's. Great. And get your fishing pole, and we're going to cast it out into the world. Yep, you got it. Yep. And start reeling it in nice and slow. Give a little tug every once in a while. Are you getting a bite? Any nibbles? I don't know. Okay, well, let's reel the line in. Let's switch hands. We're going to cast out this way. We're going to cast the fishing line out and start reeling in. And oh, maybe we actually caught something. We're going to start struggling with it a little bit, roping it in. You got it. You got to bring it into the boat. And we're all here. Whew. Nice work. All right, I'll try another one. Let's go swimming. And y'all say, yes, let's. Great. So I'm going to put on my swim cap because my hair has gotten longer over this last year. I'm going to tuck it up in the swim cap, get my goggles on. Everybody get your goggles on. And we're going to dive into the water and start doing some forward stroke. And maybe we'll switch to do a backstroke. And maybe a breaststroke, right? As we go forward. Anybody like to do the doggy paddle when they're in the pool? You can doggy paddle. Play along with it too. Yeah, all right, we're going to get out of the pool and take off our swim cap, dry off our hair, take off our goggles, dry off our body. Great, love it, love it. All right, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to put you all in breakout rooms. And while I'm setting this up, I want you to think of what are some ways that you loved to play when you were a child? What's something that you loved to do, that you loved playing with when you were a child? And here's the trick. Nobody knows. Nobody knew you as a child probably, so you can just make something up. It's okay. It's allowed, all right? And y'all are going to get about 2 minutes to go around and play with each other. So the person with the birthday that's first in the year, so if your birthday is like in January, February, whatever, the first person in the year, you're going to go first. And you're going to say, oh, I know, let's play hopscotch. Everybody's going to go, yes, let's. And y'all are going to be playing hopscotch with each other for a couple minutes or for a couple seconds. And then the next person will go and say, oh, let's jump rope. Yes, let's, as we go around. Does anybody have any questions as I set up these breakout rooms? Jot down like what's 1 or 2 ways that you loved playing when you were a child. All right, I'm going to open up these breakout rooms. You all have about 2 minutes in there to play with each other. Yep. Start with the person whose birthday is first in the year and then go down the line. Sound like a plan? I'll see you in 2 minutes. Have fun. There's a little button that says join breakout room. I'd love for you all to click that button and go be with each other.
And Nick, do you want to pause the recording? You want me to pause?
Love to.
Zoom the recording?
So I'd like you all to take a moment and jot down, what was that experience like? You can jot it down for yourself or you can type it in the chat. What was that experience like? Got some ideas that are coming into the chat. And they say, fun and connecting, fun, silly in a good way, made me giggle. I loved it. It was fun. It made me smile. Exercising the willingness muscle is fun. Absolutely, right? It's the permission to be playful, right? The permission to be daring and playful, to do new things. So fun, connection, lively. Made me want to stay connected to my new friends. Amazing, connective. This is perfect. Did anybody have some difficulty with starting this? Was anybody feeling any resistance at the beginning to going into these rooms and to playing? You can either raise your hand to indicate that, or you can type it in the chat. That's okay too. And truly, when we're in these spaces, right, that resistance is often, what we sort of start out with, and it's often because we have a sense of shame or fear, like how are people going to react to me when I'm doing these kinds of silly things? And did you notice that as you were playing, did that resistance stay, or did your resistance kind of break down a little bit and you were more willing to go with things after a while? I'm seeing some head nods. Yeah, I'm seeing some ideas that are going in here. Yeah, exactly. It's this idea that, like, once we are with other people and once we're doing the action and we see that other people are doing this with us, it helps us sort of feel a little freer, right? It helps us feel a little bit more open to what else can be possible. And right now we're in this moment of opening up as a world, right? We're kind of coming back into spaces with each other, and we're going to need to find like what feels comfortable with us, what actually helps, and this way of playing into the space and asking ourselves, like, where are we comfortable? How can we move in? That's going to be so important for us as we start to reconnect with each other.
Beautiful. I love what Deborah did. She said, I was alone in my breakout room, which led to disappointment and resistance. Then I joined the main room and she played with us.
It's perfect, awesome. Deborah, right? That's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what this is, right? You're not seeing the situation and knowing that there's another option, something else is possible. I'm just going to leave this breakout room and come back into the space. Esperanza says it's like freedom, right? It's a sense of freedom. And how powerful would it be if we could create spaces with more freedom in the world, right? Whether we're in a classroom or in a Zoom room or where have you, right? How can we create that space of freedom with each other?
Mary asks, how can play help when moving to a new state and not knowing anyone? And it's exactly what you're talking about, isn't it, Nick? To say, oh, well, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to try this.
Yep, exactly. Right. Exactly. It's like, what are the things that you can do? Can you put yourself in playful spaces? Right. If there's something that you love doing, can you put yourself in a space, in a physical place where that activity is actually going on? Right. Is there a way that you can sign up for a class or join the gym or be around people that like to do the same thing? You can, there's also there's lots of ways to search. Even if looking at your internet search, you can say ways to play tennis, or where can I play tennis in Florida, the place where I'm moving, right? And you can find these kinds of spaces where you can start connecting with people, or go to places that you've always loved. That's kind of how I found the Whole Being Institute. Is I was looking through the catalog for Kripalu School of Yoga, and I found this advertisement. I thought, oh, that's a way for me to step into something new. That's a way for me to expand where I am right now. So go to the tried and true places and be willing to see, what else is there? What else could you be open to in that moment?
Wonderful. Yeah. And Nick, it reminds me of what technology always teaches me. I feel like the Google, as I call it, the Google is always changing things. Anybody else? And I think I could be resistant to this, or I could say, wow, it's just encouraging me to play with it. And one of the things that I notice about my nieces and nephews, they'll just say, oh, just give me your phone. And what do? They play with it. They can't tell me how to figure out the problem. They say, no, I have to play with it. I have to touch it. I have to work on it. And I thought, in some ways, technology is teaching us to let me try it this way. Let me try it that way. Let me try it this way. But I love that you asked us to do it with our whole bodies.
Yeah. Well, that's the way that we engage, right? Play. We talked a lot about play. I think it's more important when you try it, right? That's how we actually get it inside of our bones and actually get to experience it in the world. So
awesome.
I know this is presenting for you all today. This has been an act of play for me. I'm kind of at the beginning of my journey with learning how to do this. So I really appreciate you all with being such an open and welcoming audience to let me play with presenting. So thank you.
Oh, Nick, it's been a joy. I just wanted to put some information in the chat again about the SIP program, which stands for the Certificate in Positive Psychology. Both Nick and I are graduates, and Phoebe and many of you, raise your hands, lean in and raise your hands.
Lean in and raise your hands if you're graduated or if you're involved. Yeah, I see some hearts. I like it. Yeah. Nice work, team.
Yeah, and I can strongly recommend that. And please, everybody, don't miss Thursday, Margarita Tarragona. I think, Phoebe, if you're still here and you're going to put that in the chat, or I can do that as well. She is renowned in the field of narrative and changing the narrative. So powerful to become the author in your life of the stories that we're telling and how we can change that by writing a new story. We've also got some wonderful programs coming up that I would love for you to check out. I'll put them in. One is called, someone mentioned Zen Tangling. We've got an introduction to Zen Tangling, which starts Thursday. And have you ever done that, Nick? Have you heard of Zen Tangling?
I've never tried, but I know it would be right up my alley with creativity and appreciation of beauty and excellence to make those angles. Yeah, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, and what I love about it, and you mentioned mindfulness in our opening blurb, is that you make a line. You don't even know what's going to happen. You don't have an outside view of the end result. You just do line by line, and suddenly you have this Escher thing that you can't even believe that you have created yourself. So I really strongly recommend that one. It is kind of mind-blowing to learn how to do that. And then I know we've all heard a lot about COVID, but next week for a free lecture, we have a doctor who is also a dear friend of mine, and she was the dance bubble doctor. How playful does that sound? So she helped all the dance companies in New York City. She was the doctor that tested them so that they could go into the dance bubbles. She has an interesting perspective on COVID and how that was, and she's going to talk about her journey with us. And of course, we're also going to be doing our monthly digital vision board course and eating for skin health, because it's summertime. So we've got to get ready for all that. So I'll put all that in the chat. Everyone, feel free to unmute and say hello to Nick and to one another, and to thank him for what an amazing session. Yeah. And may you have a playful day, everybody. Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Loved it.
Thank you, Nick.
Absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Thanks, Nita.
Thanks for
you.
playing today.
Oh,
Thanks.
Great. That was great. Bye, Nancy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Play on,
Thank you,
everybody.
Caroline.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you,
Guys, you're
Caroline.
welcome.
Yes, thank you, Caroline and the
Thanks,
JCC. Thank you, thank you, thank you for
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Phoebe.
you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Wellbeing Institute. We'll see you
Thank
all
you.
on Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Take care,
Awesome,
everybody. Bye.
awesome.
Hey.